A very good evening and a warm welcome to tonight's session of IDAHOT 2020. This event is part of the IDAHOT digital series that has been taking place throughout this entire week. It is indeed wonderful to spend the evening with you, and a special warm welcome and thank you to all those of you who can join us through Facebook. Right now, we're feeling the love. Thank you very much. Tonight's session is streamed over Facebook through a number of partners, including the Embassy of Sweden, the Embassy of Ireland, the Embassy of the French Republic, the Flemish government to South Africa, as well as the EU mission to South Africa. We would therefore like to encourage you to pose as many questions as you like through Facebook. And we also wanted to notify you as well that at a later stage, there will be a competition whereby 5 lucky individuals could win 2 sets of different prizes. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Bafana Sithole, and I will be your moderator for tonight. I am based here in Pretoria, and by day I work for an IT company. Otherwise, I read economics, I read French, I read mathematics and politics as well. I also sit on the committee of the Alliance Française of Pretoria. May 17 was designated the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Transphobia, and this is a time to commemorate and celebrate individuals within the LGBT+ community, plus also to explore the unique challenges that they may face. Tonight's panel, it is sponsored by the Embassy of France in South Africa, the French Institute of South Africa, the EU mission in South Africa, as well as the Alliance Française de Pretoria. So before we delve into our program tonight, I'd like for us to briefly hear from our sponsors, and consequently, at this point, we are going to cross over to the EU mission in South Africa in order to hear the message of support from His Excellency, the Deputy Head of Mission, Mr. Raoul Lausenberger.
Mesdames et Messieurs, bonsoir. C'est un plaisir pour moi d'être avec vous encore une fois et représenter l'Union européenne. Mais permettez-moi de passer en anglais pour me faire comprendre par tout le monde. Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to the last of the virtual events in the IDAHOT 2020 digital series, the webinar Overcoming the Struggle of LGBTI Communities, hosted by my colleagues at the Embassy of France. It is a great pleasure for me to be again part of the IDAHOT celebrations taking place this year and represent the European Union delegation. In these challenging times, the Pride parades had to be cancelled across the world for the health risks associated to mass events. It is important, for this reason, to mark this event this week with virtual events. Indeed, the importance of our sustained and collective efforts to protect and enhance the rights of the LGBTI community is underscored by how COVID-19 is having a specific impact on the situation of LGBTI people in an environment of homophobia and transphobia. Some of these issues are, for example, limited access to treatment due to stigma, violence, social and economic exclusion and discrimination, thus increasing their vulnerability to the COVID-19 virus. Increased danger for many LGBTI persons of experiencing further discrimination from family members during lockdown due to their sexual orientation. Reports of police abuses towards the LGBTI community. Increase in misinformation and hate speech continues to be exasperated towards members of the LGBTI community. We had all to accept limitations to fundamental freedoms during these challenging times. However, it's important that governments pay particular attention to the impact of such limitations and potential human rights violations towards vulnerable groups, such as the LGBTI community. In many countries, the criminalization of same-sex relationships continues to enjoy popular support, which makes it important for those that believe in human rights for all to engage in efforts to protect the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex persons. The EU and our member states are at the forefront of efforts to address discrimination based on sexual orientation and on gender identity. During the launch webinar on the Out and Proud LGBTI Equality and Rights in Southern African project taking place last week, my ambassador, the EU ambassador to South Africa, Dr. Rina Kionka, announced that in view of the looming COVID-19 health crisis and its impact on vulnerable groups, the EU had decided to step up its support to LGBTI communities in Southern Africa by providing a 40 million rand grant, which seeks to strengthen the capacity of LGBTI human rights defenders and civil society organizations in Malawi, Eswatini, and Zimbabwe. The EU proudly supports these actions, and we hope it will assist civil society organizations in promoting human rights in situations where LGBTI groups are criminalized and highly discriminated, often in situations of pervasive violence, marginalization, and abuse. In South Africa specifically, the EU supports a number of LGBTI actions with both government and civil society that can be linked to in a regional context. The first is provide support to the National Task Team on LGBTI. The second is support to 3 organizations working on the right of LGBTI people, HIVOS, Lifeline, and Iranti. And the third is an exchange of best practice with Europe on public policies and legislation regarding the rights of transgender and intersex persons. This adds to a number of other actions that the EU countries present in South Africa undertake in support of the LGBTI community. For tonight, I wish you insightful and fruitful conversations on the challenges faced by the LGBTI communities under COVID-19, especially in rural communities in KwaZulu-Natal, as well as constructive discussions on the use of podcasts as a platform to amplify LGBTI voices. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a fruitful seminar. Goodbye.
And that was the Deputy Head of Mission, Mr. Raoul Lausenberger of the European Union in South Africa. Now, the Alliance Française, the French Institute of South Africa, as well as the French Embassy, have always been instrumental over the years and on the ground in supporting the LGBT community in South Africa, primarily through, among other things, education, through the arts and crafts, as well as through human rights, which we all value in our society. To provide us with a message of 2020 for their support, we are now going to cross over to His Excellency Monsieur Aurélien de Chevalier, the Ambassador of the French Republic in South Africa.
Today is the International Day against homophobia, transphobia, and biphobia. In this special occasion, the Embassy of France in South Africa joins our partners of the South African government, the European Union, and the international community to support the LGBTIQ people. We firmly stand behind the human rights of all LGBTIQ people. Violations of the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and intersex people undermine our principles and the shared international goal of gender equality. This year, as we face the COVID-19 virus, the whole humankind is challenged. We will overcome this challenge by supporting those in need, showing solidarity at all fronts. Together, we need to be at the forefront in creating an environment of equality and non-discrimination. under the Civil Society Development Fund, the Embassy of France is supporting 2 South African NGOs working for the promotion of the rights of LGBTIQ, Gender Works, and the Gay and Lesbian Network. This year, we celebrate this day with all our partners, the South African government, UN country teams, civil society, and others to contribute to the empowerment and realization of LGBTIQ people's rights. Let us fight and stand for our common values. Thank you.
That was Monsieur Aurélien Chevalier of the French Embassy here in Pretoria. It's always wonderful to hear work for the LGBT community occurring not just in South Africa, but also throughout Southern Africa through our sponsors. It's always wonderful to hear that. Okay, so we are now ready to delve into our evening program tonight. And basically, if you could remember 2 most important critical rules in Bafana World, you're more than welcome to ask questions through Facebook. You can utilize any of our partners who are streaming this program tonight, number 1. And secondly, bear in mind as well that at a later stage, we are going to have a competition where 5 lucky individuals will get to win themselves wonderful prizes courtesy of our partner tonight. The Gay and Lesbian Network, the GLN, is a registered non-profit organization based in beautiful green and lushy Pietermaritzburg. It has been operational since 2003, and in this time it has done outstanding work, primarily with young, unemployed, and marginalized people within the LGBTI community living in and around Pietermaritzburg. The network started out as a response to the need of the LGBTI community to have a safe space where they could meet and socialize. And as such, there were no such spaces in Pietermaritzburg itself. From there, it has developed into a fully functional non-governmental organization that offers a wide range of programs and services to the LGBT+ community. The organization also works with the broader community to create a more enabling and welcoming environment in which the LGBT+ community can access services and be treated with respect without any form of discrimination and violence. In order to present to us the Gay and Lesbian Network, the GLN, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Anthony Waldhausen. Anthony, by day, goes by the name of Mahlatsi, and he is the director of the GLN in Pietermaritzburg. So, Anthony.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pietermaritzburg. My name is Anthony Waldhausen. I'm the founder and director of the Gay and Lesbian Network. We're based here in Pietermaritzburg. As it was mentioned, the Gay and Lesbian Network started in 2003, and we've been in operation for 16 years now. And initially, our focus was setting up safe spaces for LGBT people in Pietermaritzburg, because there was no such spaces in Pietermaritzburg. The organization has grown organically and has managed to provide numerous programs and services to the LGBT people in Pietermaritzburg, but now we've actually expanded to the whole of KwaZulu-Natal through our new strategy, focusing on deep rural areas of KZN. And we work a lot with a lot of LGBT people that are based in rural areas, as well as LGBT community-based organizations where we provide capacity and support and leadership skills development for these individual leaders in these organizations. We pride ourselves for doing insurmountable work in KwaZulu-Natal, and we actually privileged to have dedicated and committed staff and volunteers that make things happen in KZN. And we look forward to this discussion, and I hope you enjoy this evening. And we would actually go through the whole, explain more detail about our strategy with our program staff as well. And I thank you all, and I hope you all get involved to actually participate in the actual competition we're having. We're going to be giving out 2 T-shirts as well as 3 gay flags. So please be involved and participate, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Okay, so we live in a different world. This is a world that is completely topsy-turvy, contra to what it was 2 months ago. We live in a COVID-19 world. First and foremost, some of us have had to be locked down with people that we don't exactly want to be locked down with. Some of us have had to go back into the closets. It's a very complicated situation. So now, we all know that cities, in a way, they are able to provide some form of anonymity to LGBT plus people. However, the same cannot exactly be said with regards to people living in rural spaces, with regards to LGBT people living in remote areas of this country. Consequently, on my panel tonight, I have got Tracey Sibisi, Sphelele Nwumalo, and Ntlhano Makhathini, and the 3 of them are part of Anthony Waldhausen's group, the Gay and Lesbian Network in Pietermaritzburg. They will be taking us through the LGBTI challenges and experiences under COVID-19. And here we are going to hear the perspective of LGBT plus people living in rural spaces of KwaZulu-Natal, given the current situation of COVID-19. And as a matter of fact, between the 3 of them, they've got well over 14 years of experience of dealing with issues involving the LGBT community in rural spaces of Natal. Sphelele Nwumalo, I prefer to call her Mama Roy. She's an amazing woman. She's also a fully qualified traditional healer. So yes, I will let the panel take over and present you with their experiences of the LGBTI communities in rural South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Bafana. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tracey Sibisi. I am the coordinator under the Creating an Even Environment program at the Gay and Lesbian Network. I work mostly with stakeholders since doing awareness campaigns, sensitization on LGBTI issues and LGBTI experiences and accessing services. So mostly my work is around stakeholders, hate crimes, and reporting of hate crimes. I am a CETA accredited trainer and assessor. I have a qualification in psychology and communications and currently doing my master's in theology under the Gender and Religion program.
Queers and allies, good evening. This is Sphelele Nwumalo, aka Mother Roy. I work as an outreach coordinator here at GLN, a qualified teacher, and also a practicing traditional healer. I work intensively in the field of MSMs, commercial sex workers, and the whole stream of queer community. And I'm also a chairperson of LGBTI sector at Umgungundlovu district. I am passionate about causing havoc by bringing taboo issues to their faces and creating visibility. We chose as an organization to work closely with rural communities because of the hate crime cases, because of the violence, discrimination, and also other complaints from LGBTI people who live in remote areas of the services not being rendered and the environment they are facing. It is my first point, why rural communities, LGBTI individuals it's very important that because we're living in a space where they say homosexuality is un-African, it's uncultured and unholy. So all those elements are causing a pain and also causing a bridge between us homosexuals and also heterosexual community. We felt challenged to respond with the work with traditional-led communities because rural areas are communities that are governed by traditional council. So traditional council consists of older males because it's male dominated. And so those uncles or grandparents who are a committee, who forms a committee in traditional council, are the ones who still bring forth these beliefs that harm LGBTI community. And this kind of their attitude and systems, it brings, it creates and perpetrates hate crime, it perpetrates discrimination and stigma, verbal abuse, and also GBV in their homes. This is the video that was funded by EU, where I'm sharing the challenges and the experiences of rural community and also LGBTI in rural community.
I joined Gay and Lesbian Network group in 2014. Theatre made me own my past experiences. I am many things. I am a traditional healer. I am a student. I am an openly gay person who lives in these rural areas. But it has been a tough journey. Growing up, that is where I saw that I was different. I realized that I am more of a girl than a boy. I so hoped that I would wake up one morning and just looking like them. My first teenage years was very traumatic. The pastors are saying it's abomination, you should be killed, you should be beaten harshly, and you are some kind of disease. At night now, I will have people following me and I will fear for my life. I might get raped and killed. My parents rejected me. I felt the rejection. I was dying inside. I wanted to take my life.
Yeah, should I try to legislative
achievements of equality, comma, legislative, and other measure design.
We as LGBTI people, we are not free. Yes, according to our constitution, we are free, but in our real lives, we are not free. We're still being killed, we are still being discriminated, and we are still being marginalized. The purpose of JLN is working for LGBTI rights, as well as creating safe spaces within their communities.
Working there, it makes me feel that now I have a voice and a platform to challenge the society. We are here, we are gay, we are not going anywhere. There are 4 programs. There's advocacy, then research, then we have health, then we have outreach that penetrates and challenges the community.
other organizations that are respected in the communities. If we sensitize them, there will be a good influence in changing people's attitude and behavior.
You want to rip away my identity. Who do you think you are then?
iBhayibheli ke lona ke siliphathayo nale iBhayibheli shawa ngalo emasontweni engabe lona lisho ukuthini mangabe sihlanganisa nalama boxes and boundaries nalo gender and sexuality esisebenza ngawo. The reason why we bring traditional leaders and religious leaders in our conversations that we do in our communities, because they are the ones who are playing a huge role in our families, in our lives, because people listen to them and follow them.
All human beings is a continuum of sexualities. In order to educate ourselves as ministers, we reinterpret and contextualize those texts which are used to condemn LGBTI people. The majority of churches respond negatively, but a few do understand that today in this meeting we had only 4 ministers. Just these 4 are sufficient for the day. Tomorrow will be 8 and keep on multiplying.
With flash mobs, we also see the views of young people, the way they react, how they feel about LGBTI and how they view the different issues.
Growing up, I knew I had nothing and I will never be somebody. There's nothing good that can come out of me. So, but now I have proven them wrong. I had to unbury my parents' rejection and those words that made me inferior. I'm good for nothing. I'm a useless boy. I'm a mistake. So all those things I needed to go back to them and say, here I am ready for you. I owe it to myself to live happy every day.
So, how do we identify our target areas? GLN's work is mostly centered around local level, largely in rural communities, and we aim to work deeply with traditional leadership, land that is ruled by traditional councils, which means all our activities and all interventions has to start with accessing traditional councils before we can start working with our beneficiaries. The areas that we're currently working in response to some of the LGBTI individuals and emerging CEOs that are based in Escort to ask for our help. So this was our pilot area at the moment, and we are still to move out to more areas as time progresses. So through this approach, we target traditional leaders, traditional healers. We work with faith-based communities, including religious leaders, and we work with families of LGBTI. And we do not see ourselves as people delivering services to the LGBTI community. We do not see ourselves as people that are creating safe spaces for the LGBTI community, but we see ourselves as people who create partnerships with the LGBTI individuals in order to make sure that they are able to sustain the environment that they're in and to ensure that they are actually making sure that that environment is safe for them.
Indeed, we do face challenges in terms of implementation. The problem they mostly in the rural areas complain that there is no visibility of queer community or queer offspring in their communities, where that is the result of the rejection that they and the harm and the pain that they cause the LGBTI offspring or community. Yes, as a staff, we are aware that our presence to their places, we are not safe, because some of traditional council or committees are still very homophobic, and they want to hear nothing about the existence of queer communities. And also gaining access to the tribal courts or council is very difficult. Sometimes you will call them numerous times and they keep on postponing the scheduled times. And sometimes when they give you the time, they give you a 5 minutes time. In that 5 minute slot, they are keeping on asking questions as if you are in court or you are being interrogated. And even if we are given the time, they cut us short. And because some they will have their own issues and personal issues, they will attack you while you're still presenting. And we also face the issue of challenge, rather language. What I mean by language, isiZulu is very broad and complex. In each valley called Isigodi, it has their own dialect. And as the GLN staff, we need to start by learning and understanding each valley dialect and the manner of communication and approach. So sometimes, because we only use, when we're talking about the LGBTIQA plus terms are mostly in English. So it's when you need to translate them in isiZulu, it's quite difficult. And most discussions around gender, sexuality, and human rights, yes, indeed, are framed in Western terms. Because there are names like Isitabane, Ungringili, Inkonkoni, Usisputi, Uputintobazane, Konke lawo magama, those words are in isiZulu, and you can't use gender and translate gender in isiZulu. I don't even know how to translate gender in isiZulu, and you can't explain because some words in English can't be directly translated. So sometimes we use this belittling diction in order to get through our message to the community. The cultural norms are socially constructed by a human being, and also they're constructed by the forefathers who died centuries ago, and there are some people who are culturally rooted who are still abiding to those rules, and those rules were constructed in that time, and now it's a new time, it's a corona year, so we need to move with time, and those norms also are putting pressure to the LGBTI, and that's why in rural areas we have LGBTIs who live double life. When they're in the rural communities, they are straight. They have husbands, they have wives, and they have children. When they're in the cities, we are becoming ourselves. So do I. When I go to rural areas, I don't present my whole me. I try to tone myself down just for safety purposes. And also finding a space to meet, it's very difficult, or a very safe space, because when people don't LGBTIs, they still fear to be seen or seen mingling or associating themselves with other openly gay people, because they fear that they might be spotted in town, and while when they're going back home, hell is waiting for them.
So we are facing a few challenges under lockdown regulations, just as other organizations, but I would think that the main challenge at the moment specifically is for staff. Most of our staff are extroverted, most of them enjoy being in the field, and most of them enjoy working with people around them. So it's been a very huge challenge adapting to this new online world where people have to work remotely, and having to make sure that staff keeps motivated and that they are mentally sane. which is something that we're working on. It's new to all of us, so we hope that as time goes, we'll be able to adapt. Most of our work is in the field, and having access to our beneficiaries is always face-to-face. So most of our beneficiaries that we work with are unemployed, or if not unemployed, they earn very low income. So we know that it's a challenge for them to be able to call us, to be able to access us through social media, because the data now is a problem as well. And it's sad that most of them won't be able to even see this live streaming, which is very heartbreaking, but we hope that they are keeping safe. The pandemic is challenging us to find new strategic ways and new sustainable ways to reach out to our beneficiaries. Like I said, most of them don't have access to devices to reach out to us. So we need to find new sustainable ways in order to reach them, and it's challenging us more than ever to find those ways to work with our beneficiaries. The pandemic has also slowed down our progress in terms of the process of attitudinal change. While we're waiting on the lockdown regulations to be reduced and waiting for this whole pandemic to be a bit light on everyone, we are struggling at the moment to reach out to our stakeholders. So the last time we touched base with our traditional leaders was at the beginning of February. So we have been struggling to reach out to them. Same challenge as well in terms of data, being able to adapt to technology. That is something on their side that is a challenge at the moment. So it's slowing down progress, which means creating a human rights culture within these communities is becoming a challenge at the moment. Also having to request shifts in implementation with our donors. We have had to adapt to this new change, which means that we need to find new ways to reach out to our participants. What we thought was essential at that moment is no longer essential right now for our beneficiaries, and we need to shift items in order to be able to reach out to them, to be able to help them financially, if not financially, to make sure that they're keeping healthy and that they're able to take their medication, able to get to the clinic. So we have to shift the way that we think, we need to shift our strategies, and we need to shift the way that we reach out to our participants, which has been a challenge, but thanks to a few donors, this is something that will be a possibility in just a few more days. So this is one of our beneficiaries. Like I said, they are facing a number of challenges of their own within rural communities, and this is one of our beneficiaries within the rural community of Escorts and Babazane. And I will just play the video so that we can first hear her perspective on what she's facing at the moment.
Before we play the video,
Sanibonani ninjani ikamukhanyisile wakaHadebe emvundlweni indawo
Okay.
Apologies for that. Before we play the video, we've got a question from the member of the watching audience. Dion Tamaha is asking, based on your work in rural KwaZulu-Natal, is nothing done in terms of access to medication and antiretroviral supplements?
Okay. I would like to respond to that. The challenge is mostly specifically to the rural areas. The clinics, as they are far from home, and in terms of also accessing ARVs, it has been also a national problem. But in terms of accessing hormonal therapy treatment, they consider it the treatment as a luxury treatment or savings. So it's also got a very bit challenging for our transgender people who are on that treatment. But in terms of other chronic illnesses, it's quite difficult because some of them, the clinics are very far and they are requested to give the elderly people a chance because under the regulation of social distancing, while at the same time, they are also defaulting. We are aware, we have raised it in the platforms or rather with Department of Health, but they promised that they are going to have motor bicycles delivering a chronic illness medication. That's what we know for now from Department of Health. Thank you.
Thank you, very interesting. All right, I believe we can now carry on with watching the second video showing the challenges faced by our beneficiary member.
Okay, thank you.
Isendaweni esemakhaya, it's a rural area. La izinto zakhona zihamba kancane kakhulu kuyo yonke indawo, kuzo zonke nje izinto like nje akuna development kahle kahle eyenzakalayo nje la emakhaya, noma kuthiwa yenza kancane. Kodwa ke angikho lapho into engifuna ukukhuluma ngayo ama challenges esibhekana nawo as ama LGBTI, ama challenges esinawo la emakhaya maningi, ngeke ngiwaqede wonke, kodwa ke ngizokhuluma kakhulukazi la kwi lockdown njengoba sikwi lockdown, izinto esibhekane nazo as am LGBTQI emvundlweni, not emvundlweni kuphela, komkhize Hlathikulo, komkhize Mahlutshini, ziningi ngeke ngibale zonke nje ama challenges akhona. Eyokuqala nje engasho ukuthi I challenge enkulu like ifaka impilo zethu eriskini kakhulu lento ye lockdown, cause yonke into ihamba ngesikhathi, ama taxi ngizokhuluma kakhulu ku transport like kufanele uvuke ekseni, taxi yokuqala iqala ngo4 and then ebuyayo eyogcina iba ngo9. So if ufuna ukuhamba usheshe ubuye, avoid ukuthi uzulinda ama taxi ango4 aqala ngo4 ukuthi abuye, you have to wake up early in the morning, 4 o'clock the first taxi iyona fanele ikuthathe. Kusuke semnyama at that time, and njengoba sisemakhaya okokuqala ukuthi asina ama street lights la emvundlweni, we don't have street lights, indawo isiganga, isentabeni, thatha uhambe entabeni uhambe emahlathini ukuze uyofika estopini la ugibela khona. So it's a huge risk for abantu abaku LGBTI, especially sometimes thola ukuthi uzo attackwa, ubanjwe isidwa, uyadlwengula noma uyashawa, ubulawe, ushiwe lapha esigangeni. Akukho ukuthi uzomemeza khona uzokuza ungamemeza vele uyozigcina usushelwe yizwe. So uyashawa nje, ungashiwa nalapho beze bekuthole ngakusasa ekseni, for sometimes ungaze uthole after a week, because indawo nje inkulu kakhulu la bengakufihla khona. Nje abantu basibuyile manje, bahleli emakhaya, si stuck together, like abo auntie, abo mamncane, abo sisi, abo bani, wonke umuntu usendlini. Kunalo anti mhlawumbe utholitha akakufuna ka-acceptanga ukuthi acceptile ukuthi wena uphila lempilo, they don't like it. And futhi ke abantu basemakhaya, they just don't care most of the time. Bakutshela nje spade, basibiza ngespade, asizwani nongqingile ekhaya, angeke nje sizihlalela nongqingile wena nje fanele ulungisini, to the point ukuthi sometimes they even tell you about idlozi ukuthi wena njani kwamukeli and stuff. Thola ukuthi lapha awusebenzi ukusebenza, and then they will tell you ukuthi uzosebenza kanjani, bazokubusisa kanjani abantu abaphansi, wena ufaka amabhuku ekhaya bakubona ngisho ukubona ebaleni vele wena nje lungisa. So if you cannot be accepted ekhaya, uzojabula ngaphandle kwi lockdown. It's a ticking time bomb, like nje depression, ungaba ngathola usu depressed, because uthola manje ukuthi awusakwazi ukuhlala nabo endlini. Uvuka ekseni, the only thing wenza ama-chores akho fast, then ubuyele erumeni yakho, uyahlala from from 10 o'clock usuhlele endlini ubhizi nefoni igcine manje sikubhora uyithatha uyibekele uhlale manje uyacabanga of which that's not good. You need to be around people. That is what we are going through. Siluma ngani ngingeke lento le ngendaba zamaklinikhi ukuthi mangathiwa ngibona ama-symptoms elokhuza lokhuza e-COVID-19 angikwazi ukusuka la mina ngiye eklinikhi because vele into engayisana phansi nje enhlizweni yami ukuthi indaba yokuthi ngiye eklinikhi makuthiwa ngiyagula vele ngiyenze ngiyenze leyo due ilento lena i-treatment engayithola last time ngikhona eklinikhi, and I found it hard to believe ukuthi akusiyimi kuphela vele ababa naleyo nkinga abaningi. They can complain, abacomplainayo ukuthi indaba yeklinikhi, why bafungayo eklinikhi lokhuza bethi indaba yeklinikhi benze 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. I've been there nami, I also experiencing something like that. So going there eklinikhi, I have that fear ukuthi they will actually treat me ngalendlela abatreatana ngakhona uma bekubona ukuthi LGBTI, gay or lesbian or bisexual. I don't see myself actually going for that, and it's very futhi yenziwe angazi noma yenziwa ngempela yini akuscreenwa ke angikakuboni lokho futhi angiboni ukuthi ngizoke ngikubone kwenzeka la emakhaya. So if kuthiwa akiwe emaklinikhi kuyenziwa ama-test and stuff, kuzoba nzima ukuthi ngisuke ngiyokwenza leyo nto mina eklinikhi.
Also I like the video Kanye highlighted also the issue of transport, meaning that they live in remote areas where a bus stop is far from home, and when they need to go to town, they need to wake up very early in the morning as if they are going to the mines to look for the jobs. And while they will be there in town for the whole day, and the space, the roads, the bus stops, it's not, because there's no street lights, so it makes and expose them to a high potential of corrective rape and also being killed. And she spoke of also quarantining with the homophobes, because there will be the one or two brave people who will be busy, who will be on your case. And she mentioned that they will tell you that ancestors are so angry towards you. That's why you are not working. That's why you are not progressing with your life. And they will say anything that is negative things that will bring your spirit down, and you need to wake up early in the morning and do your house chores and go back to your room, which might cause depression, and also you might you might even kill yourself. And also clinical services, because of the past experience she experienced or received, she now fears to go to the clinic if she sees or spots any COVID-19 signs, because she feels that last time it was horrible, and she doesn't, because there's no people, there are no nurses or caregivers who are screening people in the remote areas. So that's what was the video all about. But continuing the challenges faced by our beneficiaries during this lockdown, but we mentioned being quarantining or forced to remain indoors with the homophobic people. They might also be gay, it's just they are not having that energy to come out. You never know, those homophobic people will just, during the day they're very homophobic, but at night they call you honey, baby, love, they call you nice names. Oh, these homophobic people do. Living double standards. So you must be very careful with homophobic people. And the issue of corrective rape, they say they're correcting us. They say we're wrong. So how come, for me, make me as an example, how come a straight man get an erection and the energy to penetrate me, and also ejaculate. Once you ejaculate, it means you have enjoyed me. But at the end of the day, you say you were correcting me. You're not correcting me. You're indulging with your fantasies. It's just you are not brave enough to ask me polite. If they ask me, you just respond nicely. So the issues of corrective rape are handled by the family members. They're also homophobic family members, and also the tribal courts or tribal council, who those old people who are, because it's male-dominated, the tribal court, and also handle the corrective rape. And what the tribal court would request the perpetrator family or the perpetrator himself to pay damage to the family. You as a victim, they don't even consider you and your emotional scars. And also if they say, no, we don't have any spaces or safe shelters available for victims of hate crimes. And also there's a outcry that people are not informed about the perpetrators when they are being released. You meet your perpetrator on the corridors. You're fearing your life. There are also the justice system and also tribal courts and also anyone who, all the forums in the community are putting your life in danger. And access to inclusive services, access to land. There are no inclusive services. In writing, yes, but in reality or in implementation, it's impossible, because once they see you like you are an openly gay person, they will start by asking you many questions. Who are you? Why are you gay? How do you do sex? What about your parents? Do you know God? What about the ancestors? Why are you being a bad and also a bad role model? And also in terms of accessing land, they tell you it's not feasible because you are coming to have your own home in order to control yourself, and also continuing with your promiscuous habits, because that's what they associate us as, with cheating behaviors. And also they will tell you came to cause havoc and also disturbing their own governance by you being public and also embracing your homosexuality or your gender identity. Also exclusion with government assistance due to your own sexual orientation. So like I said, it is very traumatic, because before they even render you safes, they start by questioning you. They start by putting you in that corner. Sometimes you end up not even getting that safes you were requiring.
So GLN has a number of activities that we do within our communities in order to help start the process of change and start the process of creating safe spaces for our LGBTI community. But the first point of work is always with our tribal council. So the first picture on our top left is with Igwa Dlamini Tribal Council, which was one of our success stories. This is where we worked with the Tribal Council of Dlamini, where they allowed us access into their community to work with our LGBTI beneficiaries as well as community members in trying to create a safe space within that community. The following picture is the work that we do as well with our beneficiaries. We always have to move towards the CBD when we want to do workshops, because you can't gather within our rural community, mostly because some of them fear what would happen if the community knew that they were LGBTI. But the only way we can overcome the challenge is make sure that whenever we try and do personal development and do gender diversity workshops, is if we move to the CBD for safety. The third picture is gender diversity workshops with our community ladies as well as men. Mostly here we discuss issues that are faced by the LGBTI community, but mostly issues that are faced by the community in terms of accepting LGBTI, trying to find out what are the barriers and why we have created such a hostile environment for the LGBTI community. It has been surprising to find that most of these women have been very welcoming, and they have been very active in trying to create a space where we can work with our beneficiaries. The picture on the left at the bottom is a gender and sexuality workshop with men in the community. Sometimes we feel that it's better to separate the men from the women because we need to make sure that they are able to be honest, they are able to talk and to be able to communicate with us without fear of being judged by the women. So we do separate the males from the females and try and get a discussion going on the issues and the barriers there are in creating a safe space for the LGBTI community. This way we can do sensitization workshops and even move on to workshops like treatment literacy, where we learn more about HIV, where we learn about gender-based violence. We learn about different issues, not only issues facing the LGBTI community, because we want to have services that are inclusive of everyone. If you want to create a safe environment, we try and do it for everyone within the community. So we also do sensitization workshops with faith-based organizations. So the middle picture is the picture that was taken with community ladies within the church in Mbabazane. This is also one of our success stories because these ladies ended up being the people that were inviting youth into our workshops, inviting them to be sensitized, inviting them to learn about HIV, STIs, to do workshops that are more uplifting and creating active citizens of their children within the church and around their community. So they were very happy about the information that they received. So through these ladies, we're able to reach men, we're able to reach youth, and we're able to try and break the ice with our beneficiaries within the community. So it has been one of our very successful stories in terms of women within the church that have been helping in our organization. And the last picture is our traditional healer leader conference that we held in 2018. This is also one of our success stories where we had 2 of the religious leaders come through. And here we had to share stories from the LGBTI community, LGBTI members that are very brave in sharing their stories, that are very brave in standing firm and sharing the experiences with traditional leaders. Here we also included religious leaders from AIC churches. We also included traditional healers that were from other parts of KZN and not just Escort. So this was very successful in the sense that we had the traditional leaders actually developed a strategy where we could actually reach the other 243 traditional leaders that are based in KZN.
Continuing with our intervention, our first picture on the right, on the left, is 2019 IDAHOT it's the new word, awareness campaign in Devon, where we as GLN, we gather people, community, rather queer members, and take them to the event from Maritzburg to Devon, so we can all celebrate and also support one another and also be there for each other. Yes, it's an event to celebrate, but sometimes we end up finding that one person you like, so you can share your experience, and we console each other. And the second picture is it was at the march in Claremont, where we're creating visibility of trans women on the Women's Day, exactly on the 9th of August 2019. We were there, I was there, and we were marching the streets and making sure that we are here, we are creating visibility. We want to be recognized as women, because we are women, just because they have breasts, but we also women. So we were there to create that. My gender is very important. Forget, don't judge me through my biological sex, but what you should be considering is my gender identity. And the third photo, it's the great initiative that we will love to enroll distribution of commodities like your condoms, your lubricants, your dental dams, your finger cords to our clinics, with the clinics that we have sensitized and also supporting, because we understand that our community member, which is a queer community, also access the services. So at least they might find these barriers, resources in their nearest clinics, and also creating a safe space for them in the clinic. We train 1 or 2 key sisters to be our LGBTI champions. The fourth picture, it's me, as you can see, the print mother, busy in the field, also with the boys and the trans women and gay male in one space, because we're trying by all means to bring them together and to create one community. They are our brothers. Yes, some of them are they have this attitude toward us, but we need to go direct to them, and also because we need them, they are our brothers, we need their protection, but at the end of the day, we need to take care and also support them and provide treatment literacy, gender sexuality, and all and other issues that are any social issues that they're facing in their community. And this is the photo that we like as GLN, where there's the mother of one of us. She opened a home for disowned LGBTIs to come and crash until they find the effect, they find their feet back on their lives, or get up and also find themselves again, rather. And also, she also allowed us to hold and host awareness campaigns, workshops, testing. So her house is open with love. And the last picture is the picture where we're showing you exactly where when you're talking about rural areas, where exactly, this is some of people who don't know how rural areas look like. As you can see, there's one person carrying water with their head from the river, and then you see that there's so many, we do door to door into those homes in order to create visibility.
Very interesting material. Very interesting and charged material. We are talking tonight about the struggles of the LGBTI community in rural areas, focusing primarily on KwaZulu-Natal through the Gay and Lesbian Network. Bear in mind, you are more than welcome to forward us your questions through any of our partners over Facebook. And at a later stage, there is going to be a competition to take place where 5 lucky individuals could earn themselves 2 different sets of gifts. So what I need to find out at this point from you, Tracey and Mama Roy, is now, considering the complex structure of rural areas, given the tribal councils and so forth, usually in rural spaces, when there is some form of gender-based violence, the wife can either report it to a tribal council and so forth. What happens in the case that the victim is actually LGBTI? Do they still report it to a tribal council, or can the victim just simply go straight to the police? How does it work in rural areas?
Okay, so within rural communities, what led us there to begin with, we had some reports coming from our beneficiaries within those areas. So how it works, the LGBTI community does not go straight to the police station. We had a case of corrective rape where the family had to report to the tribal council in order for the matter to be resolved. With this case, they follow very old tribal laws. So instead of having the perpetrator arrested within this particular community, what happened was that the family of the perpetrator was ordered to pay damages to the family of the victim for being the person to penetrate the victim and to take her virginity. This happened a couple of times because it wasn't the first time that the individual had been through such a case. So we have an issue where instead of taking serious cases and serious matters to the police, what is happening is that the tribal council is using old tribal laws in order to handle these cases. So that was the first thing that led us into those communities, the first case that led us into that community. So this is why we're working on sensitizing tribal councils and ensuring that they understand that there are ways and means in which these things could be resolved, and they with the SAPS. But now this is a challenge because even with the SAPS, there are certain attitudes that they hold in terms of the LGBTI community. So now this leads us further into our work. We have to sensitize the SAPS as well within these rural communities to ensure that they understand that the corrective rape is a crime. It is rape, and with other cases of GBV as well. It's not something to be resolved within the family. It's something that justice needs to be served when reported. So these are some of the issues that we're facing within these rural communities. And this is why we're going through such process.
Very interesting.
To try and ensure that they are sensitized and able to help all individuals. Thank you.
Very interesting. All right. I believe we can progress. We don't have any more other questions. Bear in mind that you're more than welcome to ask us questions through any of our Facebook partners that are streaming live. Otherwise, at a later stage, there will still be a competition.
Okay. So some of our successes during implementation, we've been able to form partnerships with the Katlanga Community Radio, where we have a trans individual that is actually one of the DJs in this segment. So we've been able to raise awareness of issues that LGBTIs are facing. The second case is a stakeholder dialogue that was held by the LGBTI community, where they called in different government departments, the tribal council, as well as religious leaders, to hear their stories, to hear the issues that they're facing, and to hear what it is that they would like to see change within this community. So that was a huge thing for us, where LGBTIs went from hiding to being the ones that are breaking the silence within their community. We also formed partnerships with Escort News, who now make sure that they take all the publications, they take note of all the work that we do within Escort and make sure that they publish it, and they make sure that LGBTI voices are visible within the community of Escort. And we also have at the bottom a thank you card from the church group that I showed you earlier, who were very grateful and wanted to share the message of thanks with our director for bringing such work and such sensitive issues to the community, because it's not only that the LGBTI are affected, but the women now were able to voice out their own personal issues and gender-based violence and issues that they're facing with their own families, and also finding strength to go to the areas and to take the services that they need in order to make sure that their cases and the voices are heard. The fifth picture is our leadership camp. We have 10 individuals from the community of Escort who have successfully completed the GLN leadership camp and the leadership training, and they have been very active citizens. And 2 of them are now implemented under the Gay and Lesbian Network, helping us to mobilize beneficiaries and the community within the community of Escort. And the last is our podcasting team, which I would like to leave to Lalo to introduce.
Good evening, everyone. I am Londeka Ngubane, also doing social media here at the Gay and Lesbian Network. I am part of the Queer Platform Reporters team. So this is a podcast team where we use SoundCloud to express our voices and delegate what LGBTIs are going through, be it now during the lockdown and previously. So why the Queer Platform Reporters was created was because we needed to hear LGBTI voices. As you know, the word queer, it represents, it's an umbrella term representing the gay, lesbian, and transgender and queer people and plus. So we use this this tool of podcasting to do storytelling, to do poetry, to do dialogues and music also. So we really like to be part of the community, have discussions with the community, and so that people can hear our work that we do as JLN, and also and to hear other gay people or trans people or bisexual people, how they are treated in the community. So you can take a listen to our SoundCloud page. It's called the Queer Platform Reporters. It's on SoundCloud, and then you can also check us out on our social media, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yeah, we're trained by the Children's Radio Foundation. It started in 2018, the end of 2018. So the program has been running for over a year now. So yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. And also there's a poetry session for the gender-based violence. We're dedicating, since people are stuck at home during this lockdown. So we'd like for you to take a listen to these few words and hear how people are feeling at home.
Jacobs. I have signed every petition, attended every rally, every march, have held hands with strangers united in solidarity, standing and speaking in the same voice. I have ran down streets, singing, screaming till I was roaring like a beast, fueled with fury in an attempt for my voice to be heard. I have sang every struggle song with a face full of tears. I have worn black on every Thursday. I've even shut down the nation. I've always done as I've been told, never stayed out too late, always traveled with a friend, have never worn anything too revealing. And I've never dared speak to strangers. Because we're always taught that it would be a stranger, an unknown someone. Well, I waited for the stranger that never came. But you did. Came at me full force, you were on a mission. My deafening screams could not deter you. I was silenced. It's suddenly so clear to me. It matters not what I've done or failed to do. The outcome would have always still been the same. Because I was born female and therefore I am next. I was always next, and for this I blame biology, because the physical manifestation of my being screams and echoes in your head. She is weak, and you are strong. So abuse her, hit and kick her, molest her, and then rape her. Sodomize her, and don't stop there. And if she shows any willingness to fight, if she shows any signs of strength, proceed to mutilate, decapitate her, if that will affirm your toxic masculinity. My fate has long since been decided. I believe it was shortly after I was conceived, when I was burdened with an X and Y chromosome. So it matters not what I've done or failed to do, the outcome would still have been the same, because I was born female, therefore I am next.
Teach them how to behave. Teach them how to love. Teach them how to speak before more women disappear, before more women are raped, before more women are brutalized. Teach them, repent them, arrest them, shame them, call them out. A blind eye has been turned for so long. In return, we have harbored animals in fear. We never shame them. Such a shame we have become. Dead bodies lie amongst us. We tip it all in trash. As long as it doesn't happen to me, it shouldn't bother me. A descendant wrote a nation we have become. We pinpoint in survivors' stories. We indulge on survivors' names in our tea parties. What was she thinking? Of course she was raped. Who dresses like that? I knew she was sexually assaulted. I warned her about going out at night. She is married to him, so it can't be rape. He's lying. There's no way his good uncle would have molested him. A storm breathes. Survivors are called out. Perpetrators are called in. Left in solitude, measured by silence that kills. We shut survivors' mouth in threats. Measured to negotiate a violation. Monetary value outflows moral value. Facing these creatures is the only way out. We're cleaning out the trash now. In our homes, in our families, in our streets, we're cleaning out the trash now. In our homes, in our families, in our streets, we're cleaning out the trash now. In our homes, in our families, in our streets, we're cleaning out the trash now. Dear citizen, a humble plea will save a life. A simple not in my name action will protect the woman. A firm stand out will make sure that this doesn't happen again. A loud I believe you will shame a lot of perpetrators. A tougher justice system will clean the streets. A tougher justice system will clean the streets. No means no, and no should not be confused with yes. Teach them how to behave. Teach them how to respect women. Teach them how to love women. Teach them how to behave. Decisive action is needed now. I hope you play your part. I hope you play your part. These men are creatures fooled by masculinity. Strip them of this patriotism they have. The world is apprehended. We still dream of peace. Fear creeps us in every time we walk in the streets. Fear creeps us in every time we walk on the streets. Our normality is survival. Our families in our homes, in our societies. Our normality is survival. Our families in our homes, in our society. They still remain the battlefield. Teach these men.
A very grateful thank you to Londeka Ngubane, the first poet, and also Mercury Duma, our own Putamoristic author and also poet. And Londeka, we wish we were with you now, but next time. Continuing with our successes, we are supporting Imbedo hashtag, which is an LGBTIQA+ organization based in Escort in one of our rural areas. They are now able to function independently. They now host workshops. They now hold awareness campaigns. They now also host training, and also they now also receive funding from their communities, their municipalities to implement their activities. And a very grateful thank you to two gentlemen in Duna, Hadebe and also Mabungomo, who are religious leaders who represented Gay and Lesbian Network nicely at the Land, Housing and Health Summit held by EU. Jelen also has hired two implementers who were in the training, leadership training, and now we have 5 certified counselors trained by Training Cane. This is our last video. We are so humbled to give you this a good listen. Please enjoy.
Each day begins and ends with fear. One of us is brutally murdered. One of us is correctively raped, so they claim. One of us is disowned by their loved ones. One of us tasted and experienced hate crime. One of us is fighting for their lives in ICU. One of us is burnt to death. One of us is criminalized. One of us lost the opportunity due to their sexual orientation. I am breathing fear, sleeping with one eye open, blood teardrops thickens. I need to numb this pain. I want to wake up from this nightmare. I desire to inhale and exhale love from air. When would I take off this fake smile? Should I end my life to end this pain? Or should I wait for you to end my life for me?
Thank you, Bafana. Back to you.
That was highly interesting. Thank you very much to Tracey Sibisi as well as Mama Roy. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Now, I have got 2 questions for your competition. In order for you to reply to these questions, you have to utilize hashtag GLN competition on any of our streaming partners. That is hashtag GLN competition. The first question will be as follows. Who is the current director of the Gay and Lesbian Network, or the GLN? And where is the GLN located? So that is 1 question, 2 answers, okay? Who is the director of the GLN, and where is the GLN located? That is question 1. Question number 2. Which online audio streaming platform does the GLN utilize to broadcast their poetry podcasts? Which online audio streaming system or service does the GLN utilize to broadcast their poetry podcasts? Okay, so you've got 2 questions there. And by all means, go ahead and ask questions. If you need to ask any questions, go ahead and reply to those 2 questions I've asked you, utilizing the social media on Facebook, the partner platforms. And the first 2 people that come up with the correct answers, they will get 2 t-shirts. So they will get a t-shirt each. And the last 3 people who get the right answers, they will get a pride flag, beautiful pride flag, which you can utilize at a later stage. Hopefully will be unlocked. Hopefully there will be Pride, Johannesburg, and so forth. And you'll be able to take that flag with you. So we are going to be waiting for your answers. Bear in mind, you gotta use hashtag GLN competition to reply to the questions. Okay, now, at this point, I have got a question for you, Tracey and Ntlano and Mama Roy. I've got a question for you. Basically, what I need to find out from you is that, given the complex situation in rural areas, do you think that attitudes are changing, or attitudes are simply not changing? Over to you.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's very interesting. Indeed, attitudes are changing. And like I said, we are working with the tribal courts. So we have 4 tribal councils that we worked with, and 2 tribal court council members once represented us to land housing summit that was held by EU. So also we have another 2 mothers who are helping us to mobilize. And also the community is now able to identify potential queer or also homophobic people to our workshops. So yes, we are seeing the change, because now they follow us in all other venues when we are having workshops. So yeah, because other we get also like they're working with all the tribal courts are now telling each other or talking about GLN. So now we're getting invitations from other tribal courts. As in now we're supposed to go and train also the college in escort, but due to lockdown, we are not able to do so. DSD also is waiting for us, and also correctional services is waiting for us in escort after the pandemic. So yes, indeed, we are changing. We see the change in their attitude. Yes, but we are aware that some people will take time because this is a taboo issue to them, but we are just gladly that we have the ability to cause havoc and penetrate to their emotions and also to their mentality. Thank you.
Very interesting. And now, just to go back to the subject of breaking the silence, do you think that with regards to rural areas, is there any other silence that we haven't spoken about? Is there any other silence that needs to be addressed? Because we've spoken about so many things. We've spoken about ostracization of the LGBT community. We've spoken about the corrective rapes of lesbian people in rural areas. Is there any other silence that we haven't spoken about?
That's a difficult question because you basically covered a lot of things. But in terms
that's okay.
of
Anthony can interject on this one as well. You know?
Oh, okay, no problem, Anthony.
What's the question again?
Is there any other silence that we haven't spoken about?
Sure. Yeah, that's quite a difficult question. I think one of the issues that we find that people are silenced, especially around the hate crimes issues, because we're finding that before your Chapter 9 institutions have been very vocal in support of the LGBTI community, but I think through this pandemic, we are in the lockdown that we have is that we're also experiencing people are actually not able to speak their minds during the lockdown period because there's no sort of a platform for them to actually have their voices heard, because what we've experienced, for example, during this lockdown is you're having an increase in gender-based violence and besides LGBTI people, women as well, are unable to access support and services. So we're finding that a large amount of individuals, LGBTI people, women, experience of forms of gender-based violence in their homes, and they're unable to get support and assistance. So what we find in there is that in itself is making them silent and not able to get support.
And I would like to add, we also have facing the issue of transgender individuals who are being killed in most rural areas and also outside of South Africa. And also have the issue of bisexual individuals who are being attacked, who are called double adapters, who also facing a major discrimination and are being marginalized. It is time as the queer community, we need to advocate for their visibility of transgender people and also bisexual people, and that indeed they do exist. It's not a choice, because especially to the transgender people, they say it is a choice. Bisexual is because they are greedy. It's not about greedy. It's being you are just indulging in your own sexuality, and you have a right to date who you ever want to date. and also transgender individuals. We need to more intervention need to also be taken into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Well, it looks like we have our first two winners. We've got our first two winners. Congratulations, first and foremost, to Phumzimanana. Phumzimanana, congratulations to you. You are going to get yourself a t-shirt. And in addition, congratulations to Fiona Donna. You are also going to get yourself a t-shirt. Bear in mind, we've got 3 pride flags to give away. You are more than welcome to respond to the questions on any of the streaming services. You can utilize hashtag GLN competition. Okay, Phumzimanana, Fiona Donna, Anthony from the GLN network will get in touch with you. All right. Now, in conclusion, what I would like to inquire from you is whether is there anything whatsoever that someone in rural spaces of KwaZulu-Natal can do in order to reach out when they need help? Is there anything they can do?
Okay, yes, as most they know that we have 2 implementers who are working closely with them, and also there is a community-based LGBTIQA+ organization in Escort, and also our Facebook page. They can inbox us on our Facebook page. They also can call us also on our Facebook, or they can call us on our landline, or leave any or share their numbers on our Facebook page. Then we will get back to them. Yeah.
And I hope that in future, that in future we do have better lines of communication for people within remote areas, because at the moment they're not even aware of GLN's existence and GLN's work. And we hope that at some point we'll be able to make sure that GLN is visible within those communities as well.
Can I just come in here just to share with you guys that the Gay and Lesbian Network actually has emergency numbers that people can phone in times of stress and issues that they're going experiencing at the home. So if they're interested to get hold of us, if they're going through troubled times, if they can just call us, or they can SMS help and we'll get back to them. The numbers they can call us on is 083 793 4016 or 073 051 1575 or 083 734 1337. And if you can get hold of us to those numbers as well, because we actually are operating remotely, and people can get us at those numbers for help and support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Anthony. Well, this will conclude our evening tonight. It's been really, 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 really wonderful to spend the evening with you. Thoroughly enjoyed it myself. And a special thanks to the Embassy of France, as well as all our partners, Institut de Français en Afrique du Sud and the Alliance Française of Pretoria. On my behalf, from the GLN, as well as the Alliance Française as well, because I'm representing them as well here tonight. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to have you, and ta-ta for now. Bye.